Hey everybody, what's up? This is an off-season war. The cool thing about off-season wars is that you do get to bring in some champions that you may have been a little afraid to assign yourself during the season and just test some stuff out. So we're actually going up against 4 Loki, and it's kind of fun. I'm facing off against Vega in the first 2 fights here, and this is mostly going to be a Nebula showcase. However, this first fight is the only fight that I bring in Spider-Man 2099 to, and Vega, I just want to say I'm sorry that, I'm starting off this video using probably the only 6-star that I have that you don't have to face up against your Man-Thing. So apologies to my good friend there, but this matchup is just too good. All we have to do is play the strike counter node and throw our special ones in order to basically reset the timer. And plus this is only a 5-star, and he's running the recoil tree, so there's really nothing going on here. But this would be a great matchup even in season. If we couldn't get a Mr. Negative over here, then Spider-Man 2099 would be great. But while this fight is finishing up, because there's really nothing remarkable going on here, I do want to talk a little bit about Nebula. I think most people are pretty comfortable playing Nebula the way that she was before her buff. They definitely made things a little bit easier for you to charge up what is now called the amp charges and then deliver a parry followed by a special 2 so that you get the 40 stacks of shocks that just do a ton of damage. That playstyle still exists. They gave her a little bit more armor, a little bit more block, and they made it easier to charge the amp charges. So I think everyone is familiar with that sort of nuking technique. But what we're going to see, at least in this next fight, is a different strategy with playing her, because this node has strike counter. So what I really want to be doing is taking advantage of her ability accuracy reduction against robots. Every amp charge has basically a 20% ability accuracy reduction against robots, which means if I keep over 5 for the entire matchup, then everything about this node is not going to matter, which includes the strike counter, meaning that counting my combos will not matter. I can combo freely, and additionally the masochism. Now, I will say one interesting thing about the masochism is that if I do deliver a parry to try to give him all those debuffs, I will actually lose my amp charges, which means I will lose my ability accuracy, and therefore all of those shocks will get purified. So really the only way to deliver a big special 2 with masochism active is if I was somehow able to land a heavy beforehand, but I don't even get that far. My goal is actually to get to the special 3 and to get sort of that overcharge mode or whatever it's called, so that I'm able to just sort of land shocks normally and finish him off that way. So he is running recoil tree, but I think he only throws 2 specials throughout the entire fight. And the other thing is I'm not boosted at all. So even though this is a 5-star, this is giving you a little bit of a sense. If this was like a rank 3 and I was boosted, the fight would kind of feel like this. There's only, like I said, a couple recoil procs, but as you can see, the strike counter, none of the numbers next to the combos of the medium, light, and heavies have gone down at all. I was able to throw this special 3, and now, even though masochism is active, she's turning it off, meaning that as I start landing my basic hits, the shocks are landing, and I'm realizing I can probably just finish this off with a special 1, which would give him a power lock if needed, but it doesn't even really get that far. This special 1 is just going to do plenty of damage. These shocks are going to keep ticking, and that's going to be the end of Warlock. So I wanted to kind of showcase that, again, unboosted against a 565. So it was a fairly realistic matchup if it was a boosted one against a rank 3. So the next section of the map I'm going to take is the new path 9B. And before we get there, I should note that the node I just took, node 20, is new. It has strike counter fury still, but the masochism is new, and it also actually has a node that would be putting some shocks on me, like the old 3A node. So it didn't come into play there, but it is maybe important to have a shock immune champion when you go up against that Warlock. But I'm showing the second fight on 9B, which has the new hazard shift node. So I want to show a couple things here. Obviously, we're immune to the debuffs, but watch his power charge timer. As you can see there, it never procced again. Now, another interesting thing is I accidentally ran into his heavy there, and none of the effects of his heavy as like an offensive ability, like the unblockable when he knocks me down or any incinerates or anything happened to me there. So I just walked right into his heavy by accident and we shut down all of his abilities. Same thing here, no ineptitude buff on us that would happen off of his special 1. But going back to that power charge thing, basically what we did is we parried at the beginning to get rid of the stun timer straight up. And then after that, we just sort of let well, first of all, soak this in for a second. Yeah, that's the Nebula strategy that we know and love, right? Doing the big special 2. Obviously, there is still room to do that in these types of fights, where you can unleash a big special 2. It got there so fast, I wasn't even able to narrate it properly. But yeah, that's Nebula in a nutshell. But yeah, we were able to, as the timer was about to reset to give a power charge, we were able to completely turn it off, and then it's just off for the rest of the fight. So Dragon Man being a robot is just a bit of a joke there. And then finally, I did take this mini boss, and I don't think Nebula's the best here, but you know what I was planning to do is utilize the fact that my shocks will get past safeguard, and obviously he's not a robot, so we don't have a way to shut him down. But I was also thinking that we could maybe have some shocks up during the regen phase to help us with despair. But as you can see, anytime that a shock would be landing on myself, I am getting amp charges. And this happens sort of as you hit into Hulkbuster, you get shocked yourself. And as you can see, I'm already up to 20 charges. And the one thing that I do need to worry about in this fight is the offensive ability accuracy. As you can see there, not all of my shocks converted, and the reason for that is because as he gets more armor ups, my offensive ability accuracy goes down, but something that's not affected by offensive ability accuracy is my parry. So as you can see, I'm able to build these shock charges, these amp charges very easily, simply just through like hitting him every time I crit or so, like it's going to be putting a shock on me. The issue is it's not removing the armor ups because I'm not actually getting shocked. So he's able to just build up these armor ups indefinitely, which means my offensive abilities are just going to kind of go down the toilet, unfortunately. So this special 3 isn't going to really do what I wanted to do, which was to build up to a special 2 and finish him off. Basically, my specials aren't working. My weapon overcharge does work, but as you're going to see, like on my basic hits, it's not applying shocks that often. But yeah, the parry is always going to work because that's not an offensive ability. And the fact that it has safeguard, the fact that it's a rank 3 and that I'm not boosted, and this one is not running recoil tree, so it's a little bit more of like a one-to-one comparison. You're just seeing that these shocks are doing a lot of damage, and right there again, like some of my offensive ability, I wasn't able to convert all of them, but we're getting pretty close to where his regen is, so I am trying to build up the shock charges so that I can hopefully parry right before the regen activates, and then that can sort of mitigate it with despair. So as you can see right there, we have the processing. I wasn't able to stun, but as long as those shocks are on them, it blunted his healing for a pretty long time, and then now he is healing a little bit, but he must be low sig or something because it's not really doing that much. The unblockable is gone, so now even though it's taken close to 3 minutes, just a reminder that we're not boosted. This is a tanky, like 250k health opponent. He's a rank 3. He's not running recoil tree. We have no boosts on, but it still looks like we're going to finish this fight with plenty of time. So just to kind of, summarize, she's shock immune. So, in a long fight against Hulkbuster, those shocks are definitely going to hurt. So having shock immunity is really nice. And additionally, her debuffs are able to get around safeguard slightly. And then the other thing is, even though he's shutting down our offensive ability accuracy, which could be a problem from other champs, the fact that we can release all those shocks on parry means that that's going to be able to bypass it. So that was about 3 minutes straight, which on a safeguard mini without boosts, I will take any day. So that's my little Nebula showcase. What I wanted to show again was that, like, yes, she does have the massive special 2. You did see that against Dragon Man. But in the process, we shut down 2 robots, all of their abilities, all the parts of the nodes that mattered. We took the new hazard shift lane, which had bleed and shock, and then we went up against a pretty beefy mini boss and took him down without really taking any damage or there being any risk in that fight. Aside from it taking 3 minutes, but remember we were unboosted, there really was no downside to that fight. And I do feel pretty confident that as some champs get banned this season, Nebula is going to be making my team. I think she does fit into the war plan ever so slightly. She can also do some stuff on Path 3 and Node 24, the EMP modification out on the left side. So, you know, there could be a scenario where we send 2 Nebulas in war, and it could be a pretty good time. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for checking it out, and I will catch you in the next one.